Welcome back to Money Script. In our last video, we touched on the richest man in Babylon. But today, we're going deeper. This isn't just an old book, it's a blueprint for building real wealth. Let's break down the principles that can change how you think about money and how you build it. Ancient wisdom, modern results. Let's dive into the secrets of Babylon.
Today, we are doing something a little bit different.
Yeah, we are.
Usually we're looking forward. We talk about AI, biotech, the future of work. But today, we are hitting the rewind button. Hard.
And not just a little rewind. I mean, we're not going back to the 90s.
Not even the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
We're going back thousands and thousands of years.
We're going back to the cradle of civilization, essentially.
Exactly. We are setting the scene in the ancient city of Babylon. And before we even crack open our source material today, I really want to talk about the setting itself.
Yeah.
Because when I say Babylon, I think most of us, and I definitely include myself in this, we get a very specific, almost Hollywood-style image that just pops into our heads.
Oh, totally. It's the Hanging Gardens effect, right?
Yeah.
People picture this lush tropical paradise. They're imagining palm trees swaying, waterfalls, greenery just everywhere.
Right.
They think of it as a place that was just, naturally blessed with abundance.
You just assume that a city that rich must be sitting on a gold mine or have these amazing timber forests or be located in some kind of tropical Eden. But the reality, according to the historical context in our source text, is, well, it's shockingly different.
It's the complete opposite of a paradise. I mean, Babylon was located in a flat, arid valley beside the Euphrates River.
Arid, not lush.
Not at all. If you just looked at the geography, it was a wasteland. There were no forests for timber. There were no mines for metal. There wasn't even any stone for building.
Which is wild to think about. I mean, how do you build a massive city with no stone?
You have to innovate. You have to get creative. They had good dirt, so they made brick.
Ah.
Millions upon millions of clay bricks. But the point is, this city had zero natural advantages. It wasn't on a major trade route, not originally. It was hot, dusty, and flat.
By all logic, it should have just been a forgotten little outpost.
It should have been nothing. And
Right.
yet it became the wealthiest city of the ancient world.
And that is the central paradox we're exploring today, isn't it?
It is. Babylon is the ultimate example of man-made wealth.
Yeah.
Because they had no resources given to them by nature. Everything they had, the massive irrigation canals that literally turned the desert into farmland, the immense city walls that were famous across the known world, it was all created through human initiative.
It was wisdom over luck.
Precisely.
And that brings us to the text we are diving into today. It's an absolute classic, The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Now, this book is framed as a collection of, and I love this phrase, cures for a lean purse.
Yeah.
It uses these parables set 8,000 years ago to teach financial lessons. And I have to be the skeptic for a second here.
Yeah.
Can advice from a clay tablet really help someone trying to navigate, the modern economy?
That's the big question, right? But I think what we're going to find is that while the technology of money has changed, we use apps and credit cards instead of, heavy silver shekels, the behavior of money hasn't changed at all. Clason frames this whole thing as a study of the laws of gold. And his argument is that these laws are as constant and predictable as the law of gravity.
So gravity doesn't care if you're dropping a rock or an iPhone. It falls the same way.
Exactly.
And money doesn't care if it's gold or crypto. It flows in the same predictable patterns.
That's the idea. The human emotions of greed, fear, desire, and especially the tendency to spend every single thing we earn, those are hardwired into us.
So our mission today is to unearth these 7 cures for a lean purse and the 5 laws of gold. We want to understand how a chariot builder and a musician, 2 regular guys, moved from poverty to wealth just by changing their mindset.
Not by getting a lucky break, just by changing how they thought.
Okay, let's unpack this. I want to start where the book starts. We're introduced to 2 characters who I think just represent the frustration of the working class perfectly. Bansir and Kabi.
Yeah, this is the section often called the man who desired gold.
So let's set this scene. We have Bansir. He's a chariot builder. And he's not some lazy guy. He's a master craftsman, the best in the city.
Right.
But the source text paints this really vivid, almost depressing picture of him. He's sitting on this low wall outside his house. It's the middle of the day.
And it's hot. You can almost feel the heat radiating off the clay walls in the description. And he's just staring at an unfinished chariot in his workshop. He's just paralyzed.
I think we've all been there. You have the work to do, you know what you need to do, but you just can't bring yourself to move.
It's a scene of total, absolute discouragement. And there's this great little detail where his wife is in the background. She's not saying anything, but she keeps glancing at him. And the text says her look plainly reminds him that the meal bag is almost empty.
The meal bag, that's the ancient equivalent of the checking account hitting zero.
Exactly. She
Yeah.
wants him to finish the chariot so they can buy food. But here he is, this big muscular guy. He has all the skills to build the chariot, but he's just stuck in this mental loop of despair.
And the environment around him is just this chaotic mix. Babylon is described as this combination of grandeur and, well, squalor. You've got the king's palace and the Temple of Bel towering over everything, these giant symbols of immense wealth. But then right below, you have these dusty streets where the rich in their gold-plated chariots are literally shoving past barefoot beggars.
It's extreme inequality right in his face. It's noisy, it's dusty, it smells of animals and cooking fires and people, and Bansir is just sitting there sweating, feeling like he's missing out on all of it.
And then enter Kabi.
Kabi, his best friend, he's a musician. And Kabi walks up with this big smile on his face. He sees Bansir just sitting on the wall, and he makes a logical assumption. He says something like, hey, the gods have blessed you, you're sitting around doing nothing, so you must be loaded, you must have just finished a big job.
And because he thinks Bansir is rich, he immediately asks for a loan.
Of course. He says, my friend, can you lend me 2 shekels for the nobleman's feast tonight?
And this is the catalyst. This is the moment everything changes. Because Bansir looks at him and just drops this bombshell. He admits, I don't have 2 shekels. And even if I did, I wouldn't lend them to you.
Which sounds so incredibly harsh. I mean, imagine asking your best friend for $20 and he says, even if I had it, I wouldn't give it to you.
It's brutal, but he explains why. And this is the part that really sets the stakes for the whole book. He says, if I had 2 shekels, that would be my entire fortune, my life's savings.
Wow.
And no one lends their entire fortune, not even to a best friend.
That is just a rough realization. These aren't teenagers. Bansir builds the finest chariots in the city. Kabi plays the lyre so beautifully he thinks the gods themselves would love to hear it.
Right. They are skilled, experienced laborers. They've been working hard for years. And yet combined, they're completely broke.
They're experiencing what we might call the paradox of the skilled worker. They're excellent at what they do, but they just aren't getting ahead financially.
Not at all. And Bansir describes this dream he had where he was rich, he had this heavy perk hanging from his belt, and he was just tossing coins to beggars with no care in the world. But then he wakes up.
And the rebellion sets in.
Yes, the rebellion against his own life, his own emptiness. He asks this fundamental question, why are we dumb sheep?
I love that line, are we more than dumb sheep? He points out that they live in the richest city in the world. They see wealth everywhere. They help build the wealth.
That's the kicker.
Bansir builds the chariots that the rich ride in. Kabi plays the music that the rich dance to. But they have none of it for themselves.
And they realize something so profound in that conversation on the wall. Bansir says, in those things toward which we exerted our best endeavors, we succeeded. He became a great chariot builder. Kabi became a great musician. And here is the key insight. They never tried to learn how to acquire gold.
They optimized for the wrong metric. It's like they optimized for skill output, not for wealth accumulation.
That's a powerful distinction. I think a lot of people today can feel that. I worked hard, I got the degree, I put in the hours, so why am I still struggling?
Because, as Bansir and Kabi suddenly realize, working for money and making money work for you are 2 completely different skill sets.
Totally different.
They just assume that if they worked hard, the gods, or, luck, would just bestow prosperity on them. And after half a lifetime of hard labor, they realize that is not how the world works.
So they decide to stop guessing. They realize they need to go to the source. They have an old friend, a guy named Arkad, who is now known as the richest man in Babylon.
And this is a really humble moment for them. They have to swallow their pride. They acknowledge that wealth isn't just luck. They say Arkad has a golden stream that keeps refilling his purse, while their purses are just empty spaces where money used to be.
Yeah. So they decide to go and just ask him how he did it.
The first and maybe most important step.
Which brings us to section 2. The wisdom of Arkad. Now, when they get to Arkad's palace, he doesn't blow them off, which is kind of surprising.
Right? You'd think he'd be too busy. But he's actually very open with them.
He is, but he starts by dispelling this major myth that they have. They come in thinking he's just lucky, or that fickle fate, as they call it, just chose him for greatness.
And Arkad shuts that down immediately. He says fickle fate, which is essentially just pure luck, doesn't bring permanent good. In fact, he argues it often brings ruin.
How so?
He says it creates wanton spenders, people who get unearned money, they blow it all, and then they're left with the expensive appetites of the rich, but the earning ability of the poor, which is a terrible combination.
You see that with lottery winners today, right? Or people who
Right.
inherit money and lose it all in just a few years.
Exactly, it's the same principle. So Arkad tells them his origin story, and it turns out he wasn't born rich. He wasn't some prince. He was a humble scribe in the Hall of Records.
I love this image. He's a young man just carving clay tablets day in and day out, and it's grueling, mind-numbing work.
The text describes the physical toll. His back aches, his head hurts from the smell of the smoky wick lamp. He is literally trading his life force, his health, for pennies.
And one day, this guy Algamish comes in. Algamish is a moneylender, a very, very wealthy man. And he needs a copy of the Ninth Law carved, and he needs it fast within 2 days. It's a rush job.
And young Arkad sees an opportunity here. He's bold. He tries to make a deal. He says, Algamish, you're a rich man. I'll work all night to finish this for you, but if I finish on time, you have to tell me the secret to becoming wealthy.
Which is gutsy. A lowly scribe negotiating with this powerful moneylender.
It is, but Algamish is amused by his ambition. He agrees to the deal.
But the work is just brutal. Arkad carves all night long. He pushes through the pain, his back screaming at him, but he finishes. When the sun rises, the tablets are done.
And Algamish, true to his word, sits Arkad down and gives him the secret. And I think for the listener, and certainly for Arkad in that moment, this is where you lean in expecting some complex formula.
Right. You expect him to say, buy copper futures in Nineveh, or invest in shield manufacturing. Something complicated.
Some secret stock tip.
Yeah.
Instead, Algamish says this: I found the road to wealth when I decided that a part of all I earned was mine to keep, and so will you.
And there's this pause in the text. Arkad just stares at him. He literally says, is that it?
I had the same reaction. I was like, that's the big secret. It sounds too simple.
Arkad pushes back. He says, but all I earn is mine to keep, is it not?
And this is where Algamish absolutely destroys him. And honestly, he destroys the way that most of us think about our own money.
Yeah, he does.
He calls him a dullard. He says, far from it. Do you not pay the garment maker? Do you not pay the sandal maker? Do you not pay for the things you eat?
In modern terms, do you not pay the landlord? The grocers,
Yeah.
the phone company, Netflix.
Exactly. Algamish says, you pay everyone but yourself. Dullard, you are a slave working for others.
Oof, that word slave hits hard.
It's meant to. It's a shock to the system. He's saying that if you spend everything you earn, you are just a conduit. You're a pipe. Money flows in from your employer, and it flows right back out to the people you owe.
You don't actually keep any of it.
None of it. You are working for the benefit of the garment maker and the farmer, but not for your own benefit.
So paying yourself isn't about buying yourself a treat or a new pair of shoes, because that's actually paying the shoemaker.
Correct. That's a critical distinction. Paying yourself means keeping the capital. It means taking a portion of your income and sequestering it, putting it aside so it becomes your property, not someone else's.
And Algamish gives him the specific instruction. Keep no less than 1/10 of all you earn, no matter how little you earn.
The 10% rule. And he uses this beautiful metaphor. He says, wealth is a tree that grows from a tiny seed. That first copper you save is the seed. The sooner you plant that seed, the sooner the tree of wealth can grow. And you have to water it and fertilize it with consistent savings.
So Arkad takes this advice. He decides to try it. And this leads us to the learning curve, because he doesn't get it right immediately.
No.
And I think this is so crucial, because if he just succeeded instantly, it wouldn't be a believable or useful story.
Not at all. And the path to wealth is rarely a straight line. So Arkad saves his 10% for a full year. It's disciplined work. He's eating a little less, buying fewer tunics. And when Algamish comes back to check on him a year later, Arkad proudly says, yes, I have paid myself. I have saved my 10th.
And Algamish asks the logical next question. What did you do with the savings?
And Arkad says, oh, I gave it to Asmur, the brickmaker. He's traveling to the distant city of Tyre to buy rare jewels from the Phoenicians. We're going to sell them when he gets back and split the massive profit.
And Algamish just loses his mind.
He literally growls at him. He says, every fool must learn. And his point is brutal but simple. Why on earth would you trust a brickmaker to know about jewels?
It's such a logical point, but it's one we miss all the time.
All the time. He asks Arkad, would you go to a bread maker to ask about the stars? No, you'd go to an astronomer.
Would you go to a plumber to ask for legal advice?
No. But we do this constantly today. We take financial advice from our brother-in-law, who's a mechanic, or some random guy on TikTok who seems confident.
We confuse confidence with competence.
Perfectly said. Just because Asmer was a good brickmaker and a trustworthy friend, Arkad assumed he could handle a complex international jewel transaction.
And the result was, well, it was predictable.
Completely. The Phoenicians, being shrewd traders, swindled him. They sold Asmor worthless bits of glass that looked like gems. Arkad lost his entire year's savings.
Ouch. A whole year of discipline. Just gone.
Yeah.
That had to be absolutely devastating.
Of course. But the lesson was learned. A very expensive lesson. Algamish tells him, advice is freely given, but watch that you take only what is worth having.
You have to vet the source of the advice. If you want to invest in jewels, go to a jewel merchant. If you want to invest in sheep, go to a herdsman.
Seek out domain expertise.
So Arkad has to start over from zero. He picks himself up. He starts saving again. Another year goes by. Algamish returns. So what progress have you made this time?
This time, Arkad is a little wiser. He says, I've saved my 10th. And this time, I've lent it to Agar, the shield maker. He uses the money to buy bronze to make his shields, and every 4th month, he pays me rental on the money.
So what we would call interest.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is much better. He's actually investing now. He's becoming a lender, and he's vetted. The expert Agar knows bronze and shields.
It is good. He's on the right track. But then Algamish asks the next crucial question, and what do you do with the rental payment, the interest?
And Arkad, proud of himself, says, oh, I have a great feast. I buy honey and fine wine and spice cake. I even bought myself a beautiful scarlet tunic. I'm saving up to buy a donkey to ride on.
And this is the second major rebuke. Algamish just laughs in his face. He says, you do eat the children of your savings.
That is such a visceral, unforgettable image. Eating the children.
It's the perfect metaphor for compound interest, or the lack of it. If you spend the interest your money earns, you are killing the children of your capital.
And those children can't grow up to work for you and have their own children.
Exactly. Let's break down the math on this for a second. Say you save 100 shekels. And let's say you get 10% interest, just to keep it simple.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, you have 110 shekels.
Right. You have your original 100 and 10 new children coins.
Arkad was taking those 10 new coins and buying wine and tunics. So the next year, he still only has the original 100 shekels working for him.
He's treading water. He's not going backward, but he's not moving forward either.
He's stuck. But if he had kept those 10 coins, the next year he would have 110 coins working for him. And the interest on that would be 11 coins. And the next year, 12.1 coins.
It's exponential. It starts slow, but it snowballs.
It is, Algamish tells him. You can't buy the scarlet tunic yet. You have to wait until your army of golden slaves is big enough that their children, the earnings on the earnings, can buy you the tunic without you ever touching the principal or the first generation of earnings.
So you have to defer gratification not just on the initial saving, but on the earnings of the saving as well.
That's the master level. Eventually, Arkad masters this. He learns the 3 steps. 1, live on less than you earn. 2, seek advice only from competent experts. And 3, make your gold work for you through compounding.
And because he finally masters these, Algamish eventually makes Arkad his partner, his heir. He graduates from a poor scribe to a wealthy estate manager. And that sets the stage for the core instructional part of the book.
Right. Years later, we flash forward. King Sargon returns to Babylon and finds the city in a state of economic trouble.
What's the problem?
The king realizes that all the gold has centered into the hands of a few wealthy men, like Arkad, while the masses are broke and discouraged. There's no middle class.
So the king wants to spread the wealth. But he's smart. He doesn't want to just, take it from the rich and give it to the poor. He knows it will just flow right back to the rich eventually if the people don't change their habits.
It's the teach a man to fish principle. So he asks Arkad to teach a school. He wants Arkad to teach the 7 cures for a lean purse to a group of 100 men who can then go out and become teachers themselves.
The first financial literacy seminar in history, basically.
You could say that.
So let's dive into these 7 cures. This is the practical toolkit. Cure number 1 we've kind of touched on already, but it's the foundation for everything else. Start thy purse to fattening.
Right. In the class, Arkad uses this really simple example of an egg merchant. He asks the students, if you put 10 eggs in a basket every single morning and you only take out 9 every evening, what eventually happens?
Eventually, the basket overflows with eggs.
It's simple, undeniable math. For every 10 coins you put into your purse, you're only allowed to take 9 out to spend. It's the 110th rule again.
But Arcad notes something interesting here, psychologically. He says, start thy purse to fattening. And he claims that you actually get along just as well on 9/10 of your income as you did on 10/10.
Yeah.
And I found that to be true in modern life, too. If you automate that savings, if the money leaves your main account before you even see it,
Yeah.
you just adjust your spending. You don't really miss that 10% after a while.
And he adds this sort of spiritual dimension to it, calling it a law of the gods. He says gold comes more easily and increasing quantity to the man who keeps a part of his earnings. It's almost like the law of attraction. An empty purse repels money. A fattening purse attracts more.
Okay, that's cure number 1. Let's move to cure number 2. Control thy expenditures. Now, this is where I want to push back, and it's where the students in the class pushed back too.
Yes, this is where it gets real. A student asks the question that literally everyone asks. How can I save 10% when 100% of my income isn't even enough to cover my necessary expenses?
Which is a valid point. I mean, if you are genuinely struggling to buy food and pay rent,
Yeah.
how do you save?
And Arcad just drops this incredible truth bomb. He says, that which each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary.
That's basically Parkinson's law applied to finance.
It is. He then distinguishes between necessities and desires, and this is a huge insight.
Go on.
He says, man has more desires than he can possibly gratify. You think because you earn more, you can have everything you want. No. He says even he, the richest man in Babylon, has limits on his time and his strength and the things he can enjoy. You have to realize that some things you think are needs are actually just wants in disguise.
There's a really funny moment in the text where a student in a red robe stands up and basically yells at Arcad.
I love the red robe guy.
He says, I am a free man. I don't want to be a slave to a budget. I refuse to be a pack-ass carrying a burden of accounting for every coin.
He represents that feeling we all have sometimes. I work hard. I deserve to spend my money how I want. He views the budget as a cage, as a restriction on his freedom.
So how does Arcad handle that objection?
He completely flips the metaphor. He asks the student, who determines the burden of the pack-ass? The owner, right?
Right.
He says if a pack-ass determined its own burden, it would only carry useful things. Hay, water, a warm rug for the night. It wouldn't choose to carry heavy gold and jewels for its master. Arcad argues that a budget is you, the owner, determining your own burden.
Ah, that's clever.
He says a budget is actually your defense. It defends your fattening purse. It helps you realize your most cherished desires by stopping you from spending on casual, meaningless wishes.
That's a fantastic reframe.
Yeah.
A budget isn't a restriction on freedom. It's a tool to achieve true freedom by making sure you get the big things you actually want, rather than frittering your money away on little things you don't even care about.
It's about intentionality. It's about saying no to the small things so you can say yes to the big ones.
Okay, on to cure number 3. Make thy gold multiply.
This is the critical shift from being a saver to being an investor. Arcad says gold in a purse is comforting, but it's dead. It earns nothing. You need to put it to work. You need to create a golden stream of income.
And that goes back to the slave metaphor here. Your saved gold pieces are your workers.
He says every copper coin you save is a slave that can work for you. And every copper that it earns is its child that can also work for you. You want a whole army of them.
He gives an example of a farmer who invested 10 pieces of silver for his son at birth. The moneylender paid rental or interest on it every year.
And he compounded it. He let the interest earn its own interest. And by the time the son was 50 years old, that initial 10 pieces of silver had become 167 pieces.
That's a huge increase.
It's the power of time and compounding. So the goal isn't just to have a pile of money. It's to have money that is actively working for you while you eat, sleep, and work on your main craft.
Your savings are your employees.
They're the best employees in the world. They work 24/7, they don't complain, and they don't need to eat, unless, as we discussed, you eat them by spending the interest.
Which leads us to cure number 4. Guard thy treasures from loss. This goes right back to the brickmaker's story.
It does. Security of principle is paramount. Arcad says, and this is so relevant today, be not intrigued by larger earnings when thy principal may be lost.
In the crypto age, this is a huge warning. High yield usually means high risk.
If someone on the street offers you a 20% return when the bank is offering 4%, there is a catch. There's always a catch.
So what's the defense?
Arcad says, consult wise men, the people who are experts in that field. Don't lend to people who can't repay. Protect your downside first. He basically says, don't get greedy. The penalty for greed is the loss of the principle itself.
Cure number 5. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. He's talking about owning a home.
He recommends owning your own home over renting from a landlord. Now, this is a debate that rages today, and the math can be complicated.
Right. Rent versus buy is a whole other deep dive.
It is. But in the context of ancient Babylon, his logic was really sound. He talks about the non-financial benefits first: a plot of ground for your children to play, a place for your wife to raise herbs and vines for the table, a sense of pride and stability.
But there's a clear financial argument in there, too.
Oh, absolutely. He says that once you pay the moneylender off, your cost of living drops drastically. Suddenly, you have all this extra gold for pleasure and for saving because you aren't paying a landlord every single month.
It effectively reduces your necessary expenses in the long run. It shrinks the biggest slice of the pie.
Exactly. It anchors your finances. If you own your own roof, no one can raise the rent on you. It stabilizes your budget and frees up cash flow for decades.
Okay, cure number 6. Ensure a future income.
This is ancient retirement planning. Arcad gets very real here. He says, the life of every man proceedeth from childhood to old age. Everyone gets old. You cannot assume you can work forever. Your back will give out. Your eyes will dim.
So what's the plan?
He suggests things like buying houses or lands that will hold their value and provide rental income, or systematically lending to moneylenders like a modern bond ladder or CD to build a surplus for your old age. But he also has this incredible visionary moment where he predicts the future of finance.
He does. This part blew my mind. He basically predicts life insurance.
It's amazing. He says, I see a future where men pay a small sum regularly to an institution that will then pay a large sum to their family upon their death. He admits it doesn't really exist in Babylon as a stable system yet, but he sees the profound need for it.
It's fascinating that 8,000 years ago, they were grappling with the exact same anxieties we have today. What happens to my family if I die? What happens to me if I can no longer work?
It just shows that financial security is a primal, timeless human need.
Okay, finally, cure number 7. Increase thy ability to earn.
This is about investing in your human capital. It's told through the story of a young man who comes to Arcad asking for a loan because he's broke. And Arcad asks him, what have you done to increase your capacity to earn?
And the boy says, well, I asked my master for a raise 6 times, and he said no.
I mean, you have to admire the persistence. He asked 6 times.
He did. But that's not the point.
No, persistence in digging isn't the skill. Arcad teaches that you must have a definite, specific desire. Not just a vague wish like, I want to be rich, but something concrete like, I want to earn 5 coins a week. Then you figure out how to do that. Once you achieve it, you aim for 10.
He talks about the craftsman. If you are a scribe, learn to write faster or more beautifully. If you are an artisan, learn to use better tools or new techniques. Make yourself more valuable.
The more of wisdom we know, the more we may earn. That is the quote. Self-improvement is the ultimate investment because no one can ever take your skills away from you. If you improve your skills, the market will eventually pay you more. It's that simple.
And he also lists some non-financial requirements for self-respect here at the end. Things like pay your debts promptly, care for your family, make a will, have compassion for the less fortunate.
It's a holistic view of success. It's not just about being rich. It's about being a respectable, contributing member of society. You can't just be a rich jerk.
So those are the 7 cures, a pretty complete financial plan. But the deep dive doesn't end there. There is this whole other section in the source material about the goddess of good luck.
Yes, this is a great philosophical discussion that happens back at the Temple of Learning. The group is debating, can luck be attracted, or is it just a totally random force?
And it starts when a cloth weaver tells a story about finding a purse of gold on the street. He asks, is this repeatable? Can I make this happen again?
And then, of course, the gamblers pipe up. They want to talk about the gaming tables and the horse races. They think luck is all about beating the odds.
But Arcad analyzes gambling with cold, hard math. I was surprised by how sophisticated this analysis was for an ancient text.
It's brilliant. He breaks down the cube, which is what they called the dice. He asks the students, if betting on the red side of the cube pays you 4 times your bet, but there are 5 other sides that cause you to lose, what happens over time?
Let's do the math. You bet 1 coin. You have a 1 in 6 chance to win 4 coins. But you have a 5 in 6 chance to lose your 1 coin.
Right. So if you roll the dice 6 times, Statistically speaking, you will lose 5 coins and you will win 4 coins. The net result is
You lose 1 coin.
the house keeps that 1 coin, that is their profit margin, built into the math of the game.
So Arkad's point is, the game is rigged for the keeper. He says you cannot win permanently against the house. The math ensures the gamekeeper keeps, in this case, 1/5 of all the money wagered over the long run.
So relying on gambling is not relying on luck. It's relying on a mathematical certainty of loss.
Okay, so that is not where you find the goddess of luck.
Correct. That is a false goddess.
So where do you find the real one?
Arkad argues that what we call luck is actually just another word for opportunity.
Hmm.
He tells a story about how he regretted missing out on a great investment in a plot of land because he procrastinated, he hesitated, and he realized that good luck isn't some magical force. It's about recognizing an opportunity and acting on it quickly.
There's a great line. Opportunity is a haughty goddess who wastes no time with those who are unprepared.
That's the entire thesis in one sentence. If you prepare by saving your money with the 10% rule, by learning your craft and increasing your ability to earn when the opportunity finally comes, you are ready to strike.
And that looks like luck to the outsider. They say, oh, Arkad got lucky he had the money when that prime piece of land went up for sale.
No, he wasn't lucky. He was prepared.
And procrastination is the enemy of luck.
It's the ultimate enemy. Men of action are favored by the goddess of good luck. If you wait, if you hesitate, the opportunity passes you by and goes to someone else who is ready.
So what does this all mean for us? We've looked at Bansier sweating on the wall, Arkad and the Hauled Records, the Brookmaker fiasco, the 7 cures. What's the big takeaway?
I think the summary is that wealth is not a mystery. It's not magic. And it's not just reserved for the lucky. It is a result of following specific, boring, consistent laws. And the first law, the one that underpins everything, is a part of all you earn is yours to keep.
It's amazing to think about the legacy of Babylon. The source text ends on a bit of a somber note. It describes what Babylon looks like today.
Yeah, it's a heap of dirt. The mighty walls have crumbled to dust. The irrigation canals are filled with sand. It's a windswept, arid waste.
The physical city is gone. The gold is gone.
Everything material is gone. But the wisdom of Babylon endures. It worked then, and the argument is that it works now.
Why?
Because it's based on human nature, which doesn't change. We still have desires that outstrip our incomes. We still tend to pay everyone else, the credit card companies, the brands, the subscriptions, before we pay ourselves. We still look for shortcuts like gambling or listening to Brookmaker advice from unqualified sources.
I want to leave our listener with a final provocative thought. Arkad used that harsh word. He called the man who spends everything he earns a slave.
It's a harsh word, but think about what it means. If you look at your bank account right now, if you look at your expenses for last month, are you paying the landlord, the grocer, the utility company, and leaving absolutely nothing for yourself?
If you are, then who do you really work for? Do you own any part of your own labor? Or are you just a pass-through entity for money to flow from your employer straight to your bills?
That is the challenge of Babylon, to stop being a slave to your expenses and start being the owner of your future, to start building that wall of gold around yourself, brick by brick, coin by coin.
On that note, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the clay tablets of antiquity. We hope you found a nugget of gold in there for your own purse.
Until next time.
See you then.
Thanks for watching this episode. If this conversation helped you see money differently, even a little, like, share, and follow MoneyScript. It helps us grow, and it helps more people build smarter financial habits. We'll see you in the next one.